Let's talk about level 1 troubleshooting with Dapper. First of all, Dapper is essentially on the lookout all the time for the two disks that you selected, one on the left and one on the right. In my particular case, X5TF1 and X5TF2. What happens is when you plug in a device, such as my Dapper over here, and you connect it, Dapper essentially will find those disks. When it sees both of them, and more specifically, the next time this little light blinks when those disks are connected, it should find them and automatically sync. So both of them are available now. Once this light blinks, boom, it reads. So first of all, what you want to make sure is that that little green light at the bottom left of your Dapper window is flashing. That basically tells you that it's checking for disks and it's ready to go. Now what can happen, I'm going to actually create a problem. I'm going to create a directory that's going to get in the way. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug my Dapper again, plug it in. Once again, we're watching the little green light at the bottom flash. We're waiting for this DAP to come up. X5 arrives. And first of all, now Dapper has figured out that there is an extra folder there that shouldn't be there. And in fact, if I do show me the folder volume, you'll see the problem it's having is that there's two X5TF1s. So that's a common error. If something strange is happening, you want to go ahead and eject your DAP. Go into the volumes folder and make sure there's no zombies, as we call them here. This is a drive, a name that shouldn't be there. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And now if I connect my DAP, everything will be fine. Go ahead and plug in again. First drive mounted, second drive mounted, wait for the light to blink, and we're off to the races. So that's one way of seeing what goes on. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into here to auto sync and turn these two off so I can cause some trouble here with Dapper, and we can see what happens when certain things go wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this DAP again, and I'm going to delete some files off of the DAP. You'll notice that Dapper will only do a full scan of the DAP when something has changed. It does that by looking at a couple of different things, most specifically how much free space is on the drive. And if the free space has changed dramatically since the last sync, it assumes something different is happening. So I'm going to go and let's go and get rid of something in here. We'll get rid of the Lord and we'll empty the trash. You'll notice, by the way, that the Go button shows up when the drives are mounted. So if I remove one drive, the Go button, next time the light flashes, is going to be disconnected. So even if you don't have auto sync on, you really want to watch this button here. Right now it's waiting for the drive to be connected, and when I do connect this drive again, and the drive flashes, you'll see because I don't automatically have this on auto sync, so it's not automatically going to sync, this button will become enabled anyway when it sees those two particular drives appear. Now what I'm going to do this particular time is I'm going to click on sync to have it sync, but I'm going to pull this cable out halfway through so that we in fact break the sync. So go ahead and click go. It's going to scan the DAP storage, and the reason it's doing this is because more than 2 megabytes has changed on that drive since it last saw it, so it realizes it needs to look and see what's going on. And I'm going to get ready here to break the connection once it starts copying. And most errors that we see with Dapper are those broken connections. Right, it's scanned everything. It's going to put 15 megs back on. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And what can happen now is if I go ahead and disconnect this DAP, so I pressed a bunch of buttons, I disconnected it manually, and it says now error copying files. if I go ahead and obviously my OS X has complained at me, it said the disk wasn't ejected properly. That's a dead giveaway that there's a problem with your DAP's connection. What I can do is click on Show Me. And what it'll do is it'll show me all of the errors that happened. And the first thing that you'll see here is it had an input-output error. So the cable was yanked or it was disconnected prematurely, and so it had input-output errors. And as a result of it being disconnected, it can't find the directory that it's supposed to be copying to, and so everything from there goes bad. Permission denied errors, those types of things. So a big deal is to look at this error log, see what's happened. The upside of all of this is you can simply unplug your DAP, plug it back in so that it mounts again as disks, and Dapper will figure out and carry on where it left off. So because we haven't scanned the entire DAP storage, it's going to go ahead and scan what's in iTunes and scan the stuff that's on the storage and fix it for us. Now, interestingly enough, it hasn't started. Right? So I have these two cards here. It hasn't automatically started, and this hasn't gone into go mode. In fact, it says duplicate drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open a terminal and say open/volumes. This is the same window that it was opening earlier. So duplicate drive, I'm going to click on open/volumes, and there we go. We've got multiple of these TF drives again. So once again, I'm going to drag these to the trash to eject it. Make sure I don't have this duplicate drive in here. And now reconnect my DAP. So most of the issues that we see with synchronizing have everything to do with DAPs being disconnected early, or in some cases the DAP is not powerful enough, or the software on the DAP is not good enough to stay up and running for the full time that it takes to synchronize everything. And so that type of stuff happens. There's the first card. There's the second card. Wait for the light to flash. Boom, we've got the go button. I can click go. It'll scan what's in iTunes, do a thorough scan of what's on the DAP or not on the DAP, and copy those remaining files over. Now while it's doing this, one very useful thing to look at is to go into Applications, to Utilities, and to Console, and do a search in here for Dapper. These are the logs that you would send us, essentially, that show us what has happened with Dapper. You can go back and see what's going on, and you can watch it as it copies. So it's already copied by the looks of things. It's busy copying or scanning this particular DAP storage, and after that it'll start copying the files, and we'll be able to see that here in this log. So let's just wait for a couple of minutes. So let's finish scanning. Going to change those 15 megabytes of items. Sure, go ahead and continue. And you can see here it's copying down at the bottom. It's copied the team, copied all of this, copied all of the information, and you'll see here it copied this file, second file, third file. It checked all of my playlists, copied those playlists to the DAP drive, clean things, etc. This is the stuff that us in support are very interested in. We're interested in this log. As it turns out, there's a very easy way to send that to us. You go to Utilities, click on Generate Logs, and it will generate the log files that you need to send us. This is the file we're interested in seeing if you can attach that to support. Now, if something bad happens to Dapper and it actually crashes, that's the case when we're going to want you to go to Applications, go to Utilities, and go to Console, and actually filter here on Dapper, and run your application again. We want to see it crash, and when it crashes, there'll actually be an error that's written here that'll give us a very good idea as to what's happened. And so the first version that we'd like you to send us, if you can, is to simply go here to Generate Logs and send us this file. And then if you at all can, it's very important for us if you can go ahead into the console, do a filter on Dapper, highlight everything, and say Save Selection As. Save this to a file and send that to us as well. That makes a huge difference if you can not only send us the log that we generate using the Generate Logs button, but go back into your system log, into your console. If you've had a crash, you can go into System Console, you can search on Dapper, and then once again you can select everything by selecting all, and then go here into File and say Save Selection As, and send us that information. That is invaluable for us to figure out what the problem is. But as I said, most of the time the problems are these DAPs getting disconnected or running out of juice somehow, going into sleep mode, etc. before the copying has done.